Good day, everyone. Welcome to our science class. For our topic for today, we'll be discussing about the conservation and protection of estuaries and intertidal zone. 75% of Earth's surface is composed of aquatic ecosystem. They help in maintaining the ecological balance and home to many organisms that can be source of food. So, ito yung mga kinakain nating mga seafoods and raw materials for humans. Ito yung mga ginagamit nating oil o kaya yung mga natural gases na nakukuha sa water. The aquatic ecosystems are our estuaries and intertidal zones. Specifically, it comprises all our coral reefs, salt marshes, mudflats, rocky shores, and mangrove forests. Since we got so much from this ecosystem, which are abundant in marine life and other resources, their destruction would largely affect the community that depends on them. Some of our estuaries and intertidal zones have already been destroyed due to industrialization, and most of the remaining are already under threat. So one should learn the value of these ecosystems and how we can conserve and how we can protect them. In this lesson, you will be able to explain the need to protect and conserve estuaries and intertidal zones, and enumerate ways of conserving and protecting our estuaries and intertidal zones. So this time, let's have a review on the lessons we've tackled last meeting. So all you have to do is to unscrabble the letters to form the word being described. So the first one is, it is a place where the fresh water from the river mixes with the salt water from the sea, or this is what you call the brackish water. So this is the scrambled word. I'm giving you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, you get the word already? Very good. That is estuaries. So estuaries class is a place where the fresh water from the river mixes with the salt water from the sea, or what you call the brackish water. So as you can see in this photo, you have here the Bohol mangrove forest that can be found in Bohol. Of course, we want to go in this place. As we all know, Philippines have a lot of beautiful bodies of water, just like beaches. But as of now, because of the pandemic, we are not allowed to go out as much as we want to. But we should follow protocols. We should take what do you call this one? You take care of ourselves first, and hopefully, when everything goes back to normal, we can able to do these activities and let's have fun with our family and loved ones. So, ang gandang pasyalan nitong lugar na ito. So, for now, let's now proceed to the next picture or next item. So, are areas that are constantly exposed to the changing tides. Or changing tides. Okay, I'm giving you 5 seconds. Okay, the answer is very good. That is intertidal zone. An intertidal zone, the example of this is in Minoloc Islands, El Nido, Palawan. That is the best example of intertidal zone. Next, let's now proceed to number 3. Organisms that produce food from sunlight and inorganic substances. Okay, do you get the word? So that is what you call producers. So what is producers? So yung producers is an organisms that produce food from sunlight and organic substances. So usually there are, what do you call this one, are grass or plants, because they have the ability to make their own food by the process which is known as what you call photosynthesis. So usually yung mga producers, those are the plants or the grass. And the example of this is the seaweeds. Okay, next. Organisms that eat other organisms. What is that? Organisms that eat other organisms. Okay? Can you guess the word? Okay, very good. That is what we call consumers. So, ang consumers, the examples of consumers is the heron. Though it can be what do you call this one? It can be a herbivores, it can be a carnivores, or it can be a omnivores. So as you can see in the picture, heron is a example of consumer. Okay, another one. Organisms that break down into simpler materials that remains of dead organisms. Did you guess the word already? Okay, very good. That is decomposers. So as you can see in the examples, the picture of worms or the marine fungus that can be seen in that picture is an example of what you call decomposers. Usually these worms can be found in the rotten fruits or in dead animals. Okay, so let's now proceed to our discussion. Okay, this time class, look at this picture. Okay, so as you can see in the picture A and picture B, which of these pictures show a healthy body of water and which shows an unhealthy one? As you can see in picture A, the beach is very dirty and polluted. Do you think this is an example of protecting or taking care of the environment? Of course not. As you can see in picture A, there is a really need to protect estuaries and intertidal zone. So actually class, this picture is in Manila Bay. Kung kaya familiar tong picture na to, that is in Manila Bay. While in picture B class is the result when we protect and conserve our estuaries and intertidal zone. So as we go on with our lesson for today, we will find out what are the things we can do in order to conserve and protect our environment, especially our estuaries and intertidal zones. But my question now is, what do you think are the factors that can lead to the destruction of these bodies of water? How can we maintain them to be clean, pristine, and thriving ecosystem? And why do we need to protect and conserve these ecosystems, including our estuaries and intertidal zones? Intertidal zones and estuaries are examples of bodies of water which are home to various life. What are these? Such as what you call fishes, seagrasses, sea stars, crabs, shrimps, seashells, mangroves, sea urchins, and others. An intertidal zone, commonly known as seashore or coast, is where tides are observed. This area within tidal range is covered with seawater during high tide and exposed during low tide, thus named intertidal zone. An estuary, however, is a body of water in which seawater meets with fresh water. It connects rivers to the sea. Intertidal zones and estuaries are important bodies of water because they provide a lot of benefits. These areas are home to a lot of plants and animals and provide food, medicine, and other products. They also serve as a breeding ground and nursery of young aquatic animals. They also protect us from big waves, strong winds, and even during storms. They also serve as the exit points of water during floods. Estuaries filter salt from the sea water. These areas also give significant contributions to tourism, agriculture, and fisheries and other economy as a whole. Like other ecosystems, estuaries and intertidal zones need to be protected because of the presence of organisms that are dependent on their unique conditions. Our country, which is the Philippines, is rich in different forms of ecosystem because of the presence of many rivers and long shoreline. So that is why a lot of foreigners travel here in our country, the Philippines, to enjoy the beaches, just like in Boracay, in Palawan, or anything here in the Philippines. So, like the Manila Bay, which has both intertidal zone and estuary, humans should do actions that will not destroy but support the interactions of the organisms living in the area. There are a lot of ways of taking good care of the environment. So later on, class, as we go on with our study, so you can do something in conserving and protecting the estuaries and intertidal zone. Because of its importance, we should take care of these bodies of water. We need to protect and conserve these places. So as a youth, you can do simple things at home and in your community to help these ecosystems. So let's have what you call, or let's see some ways you can do at home on how to conserve and protect our estuaries. So number one is the ways on how to conserve and protect the ecosystem, which is start from home. Okay, number one, as much as possible, avoid using synthetic fertilizers. Bakit? Kasi ang plants, hindi naman lahat na-absorb ang mga fertilizers na inilalagay. So, ang tendency nito, when the rain comes, pag umulan yan, it will wash off into the stream or the rivers or into the waterways. So, kaya iwasan natin gumamit ng mga fertilizers. Another one, use natural fertilizer instead. Trim grass clippings from your lawn can be used as a natural fertilizer. So, kailangan daw, instead of gumamit ng fertilizers, why not use yung mga organic na fertilizer? Another one, grow plants in your garden. Choose plants that are native to your area so that it would need less water and fertilizer. Another one, dispose toxic products properly. Improper disposal may pollute coastal rivers, estuaries, and intertidal zones. So especially yung mga tawag ito, medical waste, yung mga galing sa hospital waste, yung mga yon, which is nakaka-toxic talaga sa water kapag hindi nilagay sa tamang lalagayan or basurahan. Remind your parent to pump your septic tanks at least every 3 years. Okay, another one. Always clean up after your pet's waste. Never let their waste be washed up to waterways and end up polluting our estuaries. So, hindi pala tama yung kung saan-saan ka lang nagpapatain ng mga alaga mong mga hayop. Okay, next. Okay, how about in the ways on how to conserve and protect the ecosystem in the bodies of water? Sa beach naman. So, number 1 is leave our beaches clean. Always pick up your trash and dispose it properly. Another one, do not disturb or keep animals that you found along the shoreline. Number 1, avoid using motorized boats in sensitive habitats. Use canoe or kayak if you want to snorkel near the coral reefs. So, yung mga motorized boats, just like the first picture, yung gumagamit ng speedboat, yung mabilisan, yung ginagamitan ng motor, kailangan daw iwasan natin magamit yon kasi nga baka masira yung mga coral reefs na nasa loob. Instead, gumamit na lang ng bangka, yung canoe or kayak. Another one, when on a boat, avoid throwing your trash out to the sea. Okay. And then, moreover, sustaining the balance of these bodies of water is also a significant factor that we can do as stewards of Mother Earth. We should avoid some practices that would contribute to the destruction of estuaries and intertidal zones. What are these distractions? Ano yung mga nakakontribute dito? We have what you call the industrial pollution, over-harvesting of aquatic species, dredging, oil spills, and pollution growth in coastal watersheds are some of these what you call threats to estuaries and intertidal zones. So, heto pala yung mga threats na pwedeng makasira sa ating environment, especially our estuaries and intertidal zone. Thus, in order to conserve and protect this, let's help one another and do our part as good citizens and guardians of God's creation. So this time, let's now have an activity which is draw my emotion. So, number 1 is that the direction now is draw a happy face if the statement tells a way of protecting and conserving estuaries and intertidal zones. If it does not, draw a sad face. So for our number 1, I dispose toxic products properly. Is that happy or lonely? Next, number 2, we will use disposable plastic bags rather than reusable ones. Happy or sad? Number 3, let us encourage fishermen not to engage in dynamite for fishing. Is that happy or sad? Number 4, let your pets' waste be washed up to waterways. Is that happy or sad? Next, number 5, respect animals that you find along the seashore. Is that happy or sad? Next, let's now proceed to our second activity, which is tell me the truth. So all you have to do is to write true if the statement is correct and false if it's not. So write your answer on your answer sheet. For our number 1, improperly disposed household chemicals can harm our water supply. Is that true or false? Number 2, homes of vital marine life like estuaries should be treated with carelessness. Is that true or false? Next, number 3, planting appropriate mangroves improves our estuaries and intertidal zones. Is that true or false? Next, number 4, disposal of solid and liquid waste in rivers and streams helps keep estuaries healthy. Is that true or false? And for the last number, overfishing harms estuaries and intertidal zones. Is that true or false? Okay, this time, let's see what you have learned in our lesson for today. So all you have to do now is to write 5 ways of protecting and conserving intertidal zones and estuaries. So 5 ways on how you protect. And then the next one is that give 5 reasons we need to protect and conserve intertidal zones and estuaries. So magkaiba yan Yung isa, ano yung ways on how to protect. Yung isa, rason why we need to protect. Okay. This time, what you can do as a young adult, as a citizen in this country, in our Philippines. So, what you can do to lessen this kind of problem. So, may mga sitwasyon dito at ano yung pwede mong gawin. Like, for example, waste like plastic wrappers and empty bottles are found on our seashores and estuaries. So, what can you do in order to lessen this problem? So, ang pwede natin gawin kung may ganitong problema is that I will pick those plastic wrappers and empty bottles I found on the seashore and put them in the proper trash cans. So, now, I'm giving you a situation, I'm giving you a problem, then all you have to do is to think what is the proper solution to the problem, or what is the solution to lessen the problem. Okay, number 1. Members of the family dispose household chemicals improperly. Okay, what can you do? Or what can you advise? What can you tell? Next, number 2. Tourists touch coral reefs or disturb marine life organisms whenever visiting the beach. What will you advise? What will you do? Okay, next. Problem number 3. People are not motivated in participating in any cleanup drive activities in the community. Okay, what will you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna empower them or what? Okay, next. Let's now have assessment. So all you have to do is to read each of the numbered items carefully, then choose the letter of the correct answer. Good luck!